Hi, I'm Lauren and welcome to my craft room. Today I have another Halloween card that I'm excited to share with you. I'm trying to use up a lot of my products that are in my stash, so today I focused on pattern paper that's sitting in my box of Halloween things that I keep collecting but not using. So I used some fun pattern paper to make a card using Fawn's Magic Iris camera die. So here is my card, and I love how I used, well, my new black shimmer paper on my card. So follow along to see how I put this card together and have a little sneak at what's inside the iris. First, I'm going to work on the magic iris. So I have my 3 circles cut, one with the flux capacitor, 3 sausages, and 3 of the tabs, as well as the long white moving tab from the Magic Iris camera set. I don't know what it's called, but the moving tab. So I'm gonna put together my Magic Iris by putting in my 3 sausages into the flux capacitor cutout piece. I use this really cute candy pattern paper from my stash. I believe it's an old Fun Stamper's Journey paper, but I'm not too sure. It's just, I have a lot of paper just sitting in my box and I thought this was cute, so I pulled it out and I don't know who made it. But hopefully you have some fun Halloween paper in your stash that you could use if you want to create this card yourself. I'm assembling next the middle circle, and I attached those yellow tabs to the bottom of my iris. And on the middle circle is where you're going to put that white pull tab for your iris to open. And then you're going to add the 3rd circle and close up the whole magic iris using those yellow tabs on the top. I'm just using some tape runner to adhere all of those pieces together, as well as those glue dots were used for the sausages. Next, I cut out the arrow piece for the camera add-on out of that same candy paper, and using some yellow to put in that little arrow piece. I put a little too much glue, so I just dabbed it off and make sure that glue didn't seep out. Next, I'm using my wet glue to put together the camera part. I cut the camera out of this really cute bone paper, which is also a Fun Stamper's Journey paper from a couple Halloweens ago. And I die cut this black glitter paper from Stampin Up, which is from this year's catalog. And I cut it just outside those dashed imprint lines on the camera. And I'm assembling the rest of my camera together just using some wet glue with the flash, the little circle, as well as the camera button. Again, using wet glue to give me a little bit of wiggle room to make sure I can get everything on there before everything dries. I play around with the placement a bit just to make sure I have it right where it's supposed to go before gluing everything together. And I thought it would be best that I probably should get my card base ready and I can glue from there. But I am happy that my iris is working without any problems. I cut an A2 size card base out of my thick 110 Nina cardstock, and I'm using my Fawn bone folder to help with that crease. Next, I decided to use some really pretty webbed paper, which is from a Stampin' Up collection from a year or so ago. And I wasn't sure if I wanted the smaller rectangle or the larger rectangle, but the smaller one was too small. So I went with the large rectangle, which covers the whole A2 card base. And I'm just going to use some wet glue to glue that onto my white card base. You could recreate this paper using some gray paper and black ink with the web background stamp. But again, I'm hoping if you create something like this yourself, use it as an opportunity to use the paper that you have in your stash. Now I'm placing my iris onto where it's supposed to be on the card, and I'm gluing, just by adding some glue onto those yellow tabs, the camera face to the iris. Next, I'm going to add glue to the other side of the iris, those yellow tabs, and I'm going to center my camera onto my card base, making sure that my pull tab for the iris is easy to grab and does not stick out further than my card base. I played with it a bunch of times because this is the first time I really used this die on a card, and so I wanted to make sure it worked. Next, I stamped and colored using my Letraset markers these cute little ghosts from the set Booyah. I'm creating a witch, a Frankenstein, and a bat ghost. I like to keep my ghosts white, but I did take a really light marker and I outlined all of my ghosts in colors that kind of represented their characters and their costumes. So I have a light purple around the ghost, a light green around Frankenstein, and a light gray around my bat. I'm adding in some white gel pen details on all my images. And I also realized that I didn't put the little cute peachy cheeks on my ghost, so I added that real quick with my soft peach Letraset. And I'm gonna glue together all my characters using my wet glue. So I have my witch with her purple hat and her little broom. I'm gonna put Frankenstein together with his little hairpiece and bolts, as well as a candy bag and lollipop. I'm also using my white jelly roll marker to cover up any of my accidental bleeding outside the lines of my coloring. It's a nice little easy way just to hide those little spots where you went out of the lines without it being too noticeable when looking at the card. Again, I'm using that wet glue to put everything together for this ghost. I love Frankenstein, zombies and monsters, even though Frankenstein's not really a zombie, but so those kinds of things have always been an interest of mine. I used to read vampire books and watch Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and my dad was actually played Frankenstein in a play when I was younger, so Halloween monsters and creatures have always been near and dear to my heart. For my bat, I am gonna add his cute little hat as well as these little wings behind the ghost. I also stamped that boo sentiment, which I'm gonna use with this bat ghost inside of the magic iris, as you'll see when I put together the card. I've always loved Halloween, like I said. Along with always loving Halloween type monsters, I've always loved the holiday of Halloween. I think it's in large part because my birthday is in October, so I've always had costume parties and it's just a really fun time of year for me. I also really love fall and all of the, pumpkin spice things, so loving Halloween is just part of who I am now. Let me know in the comments what you think of the holiday. Is it something that you celebrate, or it's something that you do because your kids celebrate it, or you could just do without? I'd love to know how you celebrate. Now I'm going to put my little bat ghost inside of my magic iris and having him peek out, and I'm going to also glue in that sentiment. I'm using wet glue to adhere everything because you need the images to be flat in order for that magic iris to work. And I'm making sure there's no excess of glue showing anywhere to avoid any type of sticking for those sausage pieces inside the iris. I decided to place my ghost on the bottom of the camera, and I also cut out the circle that goes around the camera iris from the pull tab add-on to this die. I just used some black cardstock and I'm using wet glue to adhere that down, especially because I have that glitter paper. I used a clear block to add some pressure and let it sit for a while to make sure it was really secure. Now I'm using my black foam squares to adhere my ghosts to the front of the card. I originally had the witch on the left and Frankenstein on the right, but I thought it would be cuter to have him on the left so it looks like they're facing in towards the camera and not away. I like using black foam squares for my Halloween cards because my cards are darker. So these are foam squares that I hold on to every year. I really should just buy more and not be so afraid to use them, but I like to save them for this time of year and these type of holiday cards. Here's when I'm realizing that I totally should have stamped a sentiment on the top part of my camera, but it's too late now and I'm not risking damaging my card. So I decided to take a sentiment from Pick of the Patch that says "Smile, it's Halloween." I thought it would go great with this card. And I stamped it in jet black ink and used Carrot to stamp again that little Halloween bag and lollipop. I hope you like this card and I hope you try this design yourself. I challenge you to use some paper that's in your stash, like I did, to create a Halloween card. If you like this video, don't forget to hit like, and if you enjoy my videos on my channel, please hit subscribe. Thank you and have a great day.